of course, to all of you in the chat. Hello. Good to be with you. Always great to see the usuals jumping in early and often. That's cool. I wish we could gauge such a thing regarding the people that are listening in their cars, the ones that are right there, right from Jump Street, right as we get it on and get the day started. If you're in Tallahassee, apparently we're going to have some very inclement weather in mere moments. I don't know. We'll have to have Tom check out the weather window.
It's right behind me.
Speaking of weather window, all kinds of weather problems at Notre Dame. I don't think that would explain the problems of the bullpen, which continue to be something to behold. That's going to be a problem. Two glaring issues for Florida State and one real pretty awesome solution, which is, of course, the fact that we can mash to offset the problem. That's the hope. As Florida State went into the season looking like a group that, would have to prove that they could hit anywhere close to what last year's unbelievable offensive firepower offense, led team had. And it turns out, yep, they can hit. They can really hit again. Maybe not the same, but they can really hit. And then as far as the pitching goes, well, they got one ace, apparently, just the one. And it's not the one anybody predicted. And they've got not a lot of help in the bullpen. Then again, and I don't want to minimize when they're bad and only celebrate when they're good, so I'm trying to keep some balance here. I don't know what to make of games at Notre Dame. The first one was bizarre, 22-mile-per-hour winds blowing out. Anything popped up in the air left the yard for both teams. It was a weird day. But it didn't help yesterday in the second game of that doubleheader, did it? When you're watching that barrage of hits, it's 14-0. I don't know. You lose concentration or you just get absolutely pounded with every arm you bring out of the pen. That's not a small sample size of problems out of the pen, Tom. We are reaching probably a close moment in which I begin to reach for the button that is red. Don't you think we're getting there? We're getting close.
Yes, as somebody who was among the first to express concerns about the bullpen, I still am expressing concerns about the bullpen. But there is time. There's not as much time as there was last month. But you know what? It's not even April yet, Jeff. It's not even April yet. That's tomorrow. Today, we're still in March. So you still got some time to figure it out. There's every weekend you go, oh, well, okay, I think maybe these guys can be counted on. Or after a midweek performance, you're saying, well, maybe these guys can be counted on. And then look at that. You might have 4 or 5 guys that you like. And then one of the 4 or 2 of the 4 don't give you what you need. And you say, okay, well, maybe this is just going to be something in super regional weekend that you hold your breath a little bit.
I'm all about winning series, and they won another one, and they sweep the doubleheader in order to do so, and that's cool. They win another series. Really, if you think about the week that was, Florida State went 3-1. They got the walk-off grand slam against Florida, which was a highlight moment. You go on the road, you win an ACC series, you take 2 of 3. And so, you're having these concerns in a 3-1 week, I guess. You're having these concerns as a top 10 baseball team. But again, I remind everybody when we have these conversations, this isn't nitpicking. This is about comparing this team to the nation's best teams. And this, the thought being you want to get back to Omaha, give yourself another crack at it. That I think year in and year out under Link Jarrett, they're going to be really good. I think they're going to consistently get back to the place where you just make certain assumptions about being a top 10 team every year. I believe he's that kind of coach. I believe he's that kind of quality of a coach. They're going to put themselves in positions to routinely be successful, upper echelon in the ACC, top 20, top 10 type team year in and year out. So at that point, what you're doing is just asking yourself, are they of the caliber of team that could win it all? And when you see glaring errors and you compare to that standard, you begin to get concerned. That's really what it is. It's not a matter of whether or not they're good. They're good. Clearly they're good. but they do have a lack of arms out of the pen that get outs consistently. And, right now it's a little disconcerting because 2 of your 3 rotation pieces on the weekend are not giving you the kind of starts that you'd ideally want to have when your bullpen is in question. One guy does time and time again, and that's Joey Vellini, who's a freaking horse and continues to prove that he is a horse. Meanwhile, your supposed ace is hardly an ace at this juncture. I'm going to need my man to start doing better than 4 1/3 and, give you some real innings here, because you don't have many arms you trust once he comes out of the game. Mendez is now getting hit, proving that he is having a hard time to consistently throw strikes, even when given a lopsided lead. So you begin to see some of these problems where you have to go to the bullpen even earlier. And in doing that, these guys are getting clubbed. So we'll see if they can remedy that, if they can find 2 or 3 guys that they really feel good about. The other problem they have that I don't think will be solved, Tom, is they're a mess at catcher. That position, in terms of the fielding aspect, it's dreadful. It's terrible. And so we've seen it come back to hurt them before. It can hurt them again here, especially when you get into tight games against good teams in the postseason. They really struggle receiving the baseball, blocking the baseball, staying in front of the baseball. They struggle with the, catching aspect of catching. That is frustrating. I'm sure it is equally as frustrating, if not much, much more, for the likes of Link Jarrett.
And yet, on the positive side, before the whole stretch started last weekend, we asked for a 5-2 sequence. When they went to Miami, they played Florida, and they go to Notre Dame, and they deliver.
Yeah.
They get you the 5-2 sequence.
Well, that's because they can hit.
Yeah, well, and better than expected. If it wasn't for that, because that was the thing that was supposed to be lagging behind. But, you should really be sweeping that series, because your bats showed up in game 1 for you in an unholy way in the dump of a town that is South Bend, Indiana. Because they kept on answering the bell every time. They'd pace you to a lead, you give it up, it goes the other way, you chase it down again, you take the lead. I like those results in those key moments. That's a nice thing to piece together if you're looking for a storyline from Tuesday against Florida to Friday against Notre Dame. You're seeing quality production and at bats, even when the world is kind of falling apart and it feels like there's a spiral that's going on the mound. It's what happened Tuesday. If that's a 4-3 loss that you suffer in the baseball grounds, you got a real psychological problem that's brewing. Instead, you answer the bell, you end up walking it off with the granny, and then you tried your damnedest to do that again on Friday. So I like seeing that. That's heart. That's a willingness to keep going and not face or hang your head because you're getting let down by your pitching staff. That's good to see.
Well, all those games were away from home. You go 5-2 in the stretch, like we talked about. You can't complain about that. Results are there. Process is interesting. Results are there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Results are there. Process, process leads you to, are we going to keep getting results? We're getting results right now. No doubt. They're getting the positive results that you want. They're winning a lot of games. There is a bit about the process that you begin to worry about. Now look, I don't want to overstate this, because we'll see. I think that there's a lot that goes into why a starter with good stuff might have problems over the span of a couple of starts, especially when they get off their schedule or if they're dealing with any sort of minor injury. I don't know that that's the case, but this is what happens to players throughout the course of a year. And it can add up to average looking starts. And you can say, I don't know what's going on with that guy. He's supposed to be a stud. And then he could return to form. His next start, he could dominate. And you're like, oh, there he is again. Okay, couple bumps in the road. We're good. That may very well be the case for Arnold. We may see that. I'll say this. He's missing arm side high over and 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 over again. And one of the problems with that is then you kind of really become a one-pitch pitcher, because if he's not going to be able to consistently throw the fastball for a strike, it's up and away to righties, it's in on the face to lefties, which has got to be terrifying when you see him missing that far up and in over and over again to that arm side. you'll note that when he makes adjustments, he's trying to throw that breaking ball for a strike, but he becomes kind of a one-pitch pitcher at that point. The changeup has never really materialized this year like they had hoped. So he's getting like they're sitting on things now because he's not able to locate consistently with the fastball. But let's say that starts on Friday. He returns back to his normal starting time, gets an opportunity to go out. Let's say he gives you 5 2/3 strong or 6 strong, and he's able to locate. You're like, okay, all's well. Because the secondary pitch that he can throw for a strike is really good. And in college, if you can throw 2+ pitches for strikes, you'll usually be okay. 3 is especially nice, obviously. He has potential to do that. We just haven't seen it lately from him.
Well, and that's an atmosphere that is going to be outstanding on Friday night.
Yes, it is. And he'll play
8 p.m. first pitch.
Yeah.
8 p.m. Oh, my. The tailgate lots are going to be rowdy for hours before people walk into Hauser Friday night against Wake Forest.
That's fun. You don't get as many of these as you'd like. I love when we get opportunities to go over to Hauser, Mike Martin Field, on a Friday or a Saturday night, and it's 7 or 8 p.m., in this case 8 p.m., like you're talking about, an extra hour to prepare yourself for the game, if you will. Yeah, that atmosphere is fantastic. It's different than the fever pitch that you get in football, which is a different feel altogether because the two sports are so different. But there's something more intimate and yet a buzz about a Friday night, 8 o'clock game. Wake's a good team show. This should be fun. This should be as obnoxious, for lack of a better term, as you could possibly get at Hauser.
Well, it kind of matches a little bit of our personality as a team.
It does. It matches college baseball.
For Jamie's sake, what I would say is last week, Link mentioned it, that it's psychological. A lot of this is psychological. I think he's seeing the finish line here, and it's don't screw it up energy rather than go get it energy, because Link wouldn't offer that up if he wasn't seeing some things. He said, I get back on the bus and I see him and I realize, I don't understand the pressures that you're going through, which to me is coach code for settle down, man. You've already done the hard part. Just continue to be you, and you're going to make your money. You're going to get drafted super high, but don't let the weight of the world, pile up on you in between the ears. And I think that's what's happening with Jamie right now.
It's interesting. I wouldn't begin to know what that feels like either. That's where, you watch from afar and you try to gauge how much of it is what is really got to be an awful lot of pressure when you're trying to become a top 10 pick. And I said to you before the season began, when he was in all the publications, on the one hand, you celebrate the young man. On the one hand, he's one of ours. So you're like, hey, it's our guy that's getting talked about in this glowing fashion and highlighted in these preseason magazines. Well, there's no such thing as magazines anymore, but preseason online forums in which he's talked about as possibly being the number 1 pick. And the more that I heard him mentioned in the realm of top 5, number 1 pick, the more I got nervous for him. I can't imagine what it is for him. I said a couple of things about that at the time. I said, I can't imagine what kind of pressure that brings to the table, and I worry about it. Anytime somebody is talked up that much, it's tough. And then secondly, I said, I hadn't seen that enough yet to believe he was the number 1 pick from a stuff standpoint. That wasn't meant to take shots. I mean, Jamie's going to get drafted high and make millions of dollars. Good for him. And he's been awesome in his career at Florida State, and I'm a fan. I'm rooting for him. But I hadn't, just objectively speaking, I hadn't seen the stuff that said to me he was the number 1 pick. And I think when he's right, you see it, and there are glimpses of it. But I think to be that kind of horse, you have to be able to do it day in, day out, inning in, inning out. And you got to show consistency. And that's what's lacking with him right now. It's less me criticizing stuff, because we've seen stuff from him, but the consistency of said stuff is not there right now at all. And he has a hard time, it looks like, and I'm not a pitching coach, and I'd like to talk to Micah about this, and we probably will soon. We're at that point where it's time to have him back on. Seems like he struggles sometimes to get on top of the ball. He opens up, and it's just kind of interesting.
I think when it's solved for Jamie Arnold, it's going to be perfectly solved, just because his mindset before this happened, his mindset fit what it is to deal with the pressure. Like everything just kind of rolls off of him. He doesn't internalize very much, just judging by even when Florida State was achieving great things last year and he replaced Leiter, because he wasn't even supposed to be the guy.
Right.
And then he emerges as the guy. And the preseason interviews this season, always deflecting, always talking about his teammates, always saying, about Vellini or some of the other guys that are in the rotation. He was asked about who he thinks is going to be, the 2 and the 3. Man, he was just effusive of his teammates. He said, I can't wait to see him pitch. He didn't seem like somebody who was wound tight. And yet we know that there's something going on because Link was giving us a little bit of a window into it. But when it's fixed for him, whatever it is that he's going through, I think it's going to be the flick of a switch. There are some guys that when it goes bad, you wonder. Pitching is much like golf, is much like kicking in football. Individualized players and moments, punters, when they go bad. Like, how did Sean Powell not have a 15-year career in the NFL after the career he had at Florida State? Something must have happened. But there are some guys that when it spirals, you realize, oh no, they're in their own head. I don't know that this is going to be okay. And they're usually the wound tight guys beforehand. Jamie's not that way. Jamie is easy breezy. So I think it'll come back for him.
Did you guys, speaking of between the ears and similarities, tell me, my people out there, you guys that I do this for, partly, tell me you took advantage of the suggestion of Min-Woo Lee last week. Tell me you did. I cash in this money that I am giving you with expertise, the likes of which should be nationally celebrated at this point. Unreal. I just threw it out there. A little pizza money on Min-Woo Lee, guys. 3 or 4 guys I like this week. Min-Woo Lee. A little pizza money to win it all. Pa-da! This particular tournament and I now have a love affair because it was Jaeger that I took a year ago to beat Scheffler down the stretch in this tournament. I make my living in terms of golf betting with the occasional outright winner pizza money that funds the rest of the bets for the year. And this is now back-to-back years, right around now, where yours truly gets to be on fire, locked in, all the information, the matrix, it all comes together. And those suggestions, now listen, it's golf betting. You're not going to win all of them. You're going to miss some cuts. You're going to have some guys, fail you, have a tough week. That's why you got to have a little pizza here, a little pizza there, a little pizza over here. You got to have top 20s, top 10s, top 5s. Pizza on a few you think can win outright. All you need to do is hit that outright one time. Doesn't matter about all the rest. Never mind that I also had a top 20 this week with some more pizza money. But there it is. There it is. Another winner. Come on. Start paying attention. I'm trying to make you guys money. Don't miss out on that. Min-Woo tried to screw me. He got shaky down the stretch.
That T-ball on 15.
You should have seen the horror on my face when that ball sprayed right. And I went, now, damn it, Min-Woo. I've been riding this Min-Woo train. You've got this thing wrapped and you're going to throw it off into Mozambique.
That's a great reference. Yes, Mozambique is where it went.
Good God, it looked like something I would do out of nowhere on number 7 or something and just be like, well, where did that come from, Tommy? Just pew-wee.
That has happened to yours truly. In the moment, leading something down the stretch, and it was 45 degrees.
Just like, that is gone. You can only laugh.
Yeah.
You can only laugh. I was not laughing as somebody who had picked him to win outright this week. And I'm like, no. It just so happens that the best player in the world is on your heels. It's not like he won't take advantage of you sending it into orbit.
And the broadcaster saying, I don't think that crossed over land. And Bones pipes in and goes, guys, I have a great view of it. It did not cross land. This is going to be a re-tee. He's going to have to re-tee this one.
When he said that, I was like, are you sure? I did. I was sitting on my couch. My wife goes, you seem to really care whether this Min-Woo Lee character wins. I'm like, I do. I care greatly. Enough talk. Let's watch and see if he recovers.
How'd you feel about the flyer/adrenaline ball approach to 18?
So the one off the back?
Yeah. Because that's the putt off the green is the one. That's it. That's the moment.
Here's why I didn't freak out. Is because he could putt it. And I was like, he's lagged just fine all 4 rounds. I'm like, he's been very good with his lag putting. He's understood these greens. Even today when he got himself in a little bit of trouble, he putted exceptionally well. He hadn't missed inside of 5 feet. So my thought was, lag it to within 5? You haven't missed one all day? Well, he lagged it to within inches.
That's right. But if he went to a playoff, either Scotty or Woodland, who was feeling it.
And I love Gary Woodland, and I was so happy to see him shoot a 62 and would have loved for him to,
He was not going to win that playoff.
Oh, so God, no, he was not going to win that playoff. He had to win it in regulation. Anyhow, for those of you who did cash in the chips, good on you. Hey, listen, I talk to you guys all the time about this. I want to bring your attention to something above and beyond vacation rentals. These are Knowles, saving you tons of money. You're avoiding the VRBO and the Airbnb middleman fees. None of that nonsense. You're saving money with the code JCS when you go to their website, aboveandbeyondvr.com. That's aboveandbeyondvr.com. If you're planning a vacation, friends, family, whatever it is, a getaway, we're at that time of year. We're all trying to get away for a little bit here at some point, whether that's April or May or June. They've got over 30-plus units in coastal Pinellas County, beach cottages, quaint beach models, upscale luxury condos, all that. But today I want to bring your attention to this. The Enchanted Inn Motel. 7 private rooms, 6 standard motel rooms, 1 deluxe room that sleeps 4 people. Every room has a king bed, a kitchen, and a full bathroom. Private porches on the first floor, a large balcony on the second floor overlooking the pool area, an intercoastal waterway there, 2 blocks from the beach. It's just north of Clearwater Beach, kind of a residential area where you can just walk. It's awesome. It's not like a crazy hotel area. It's nice. And it's got, groups of 16 people can stay there.
Yeah.
We visited them. They're awesome.
It's that old school, old Clearwater motel look to it, but then it's got the modern amenities inside and the nice pool setup and the nice back deck setup with that tiki deck that they had out back.
The tiki deck, indeed.
That's
where I'd be hanging out. Yeah. Aboveandbeyondvr.com. If you want to text Matt and Jen, they'll text you back. You can text them at 727-253-5995. Aboveandbeyondvr.com. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-SparkConstruction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those dark leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-SparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Ain't nothing but a G-Pod, baby.
I am 99% sure that is not how the lyrics go.
Well, you like remixes, right?
Of course.
Well, think of this as a Grassroots Coffee remix per se, because Grassroots Coffee is now in the single-serve coffee pod game.
Dude, those single-serve coffee pods and cups are weak sauce.
Not Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. They have more coffee in them than regular single-serve pods and cups.
Seriously?
And not only do they have more coffee, they have a built-in filter for better brewing. They fit in most Keurig machines, and they are fully compostable.
It's still the small batch, slow roasted coffee you love, so go to grassrootscoffee.com and get your box of G-Pods today.
Baby.
See? Remix!
Well, actually, that's more of an homage.
Grassroots Coffee, locally owned, locally roasted, and made for everyone, loved everywhere.
Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. So very good.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 373031.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, not a story I wanted to have to talk about, but certainly we should acknowledge, and we will right away. Our best wishes, thoughts are with Lonni Alameda, the FSU softball coach, who continues to coach, as she said, quote unquote, fulfilling her duties while undergoing treatment for breast cancer. And nobody wants to read that or hear that. Lonni is a fun person to talk to, and a lot of you know her. She's personable. Obviously, we've watched her do a spectacular job on the diamond, but I'm certainly not here to talk about her successes at Florida State as softball coach. We know that, but I am here to wish her well, as she noted that she was very thankful for the support and could not have been in a better situation, she says, than the one she's in with TMH, Florida State Athletics, her team and her staff, and noting that she's ready to go through this journey together with the medical experts and all those around her in the softball community and at the university. And I would just say this: if you're looking for good news in a story that is scary, frankly, you would say that, man alive, have we come a long way, a real long way. Every article you read about breast cancer survival rates and the medical advancements, the progress through medical science and the ability to keep women alive and to cure breast cancer, it is actually, I looked at it this morning, Tom, in wanting to know more about those rates, about the 5-year relative survival rate, the 10-year, the 15-year. You go back wherever you want to pinpoint. You want to go back to 1980, you want to go back to 1960, you want to go back to 1930. It is unreal how far they've come, and to a place now where it's almost assumed that you're going to be able to beat this, and that we certainly hope that is the case. But that would give you pause, and obviously you're taken aback when you read something like that. You wish the person well, they're in your thoughts. But I would also say that when you look at some of those numbers, and there are a lot of articles on this, you go, okay, she's going to beat it. She's tough. She's got good doctors helping her. She's got a great support group. All right, let's go beat this thing.
Yeah, it's not. I agree with you. This is something that you hear certain cancers and they will elicit different responses. But it's still serious, even still without, you're right. The incidence of, there are some in the family of male cancers, where it could be a colon cancer, but we caught it early. As long as, you catch it early, then
very similar, by the way, in terms of the progress that's been made on curing those kinds of cancers.
Well, I could tell you that, my father had lung cancer and thyroid cancer, 2 separate ones, thankfully, because if it had spread from one to the other, as the doctor said, no, that's not going to be good for you. If it makes it geographically, if you want to call it that, into the body anatomically, one place to the other. But generally speaking, if you catch some of these things early, I've had skin cancer 2 or 3 times, there is a plan they give you, and you're able to get on the other side of it. It's just, no matter how you attack a subject like this, when you see on a Monday morning, when you go to the news wire that is Twitter, and you see Coach Alameda is battling breast cancer, it just takes your breath away. And so we hope that, the medical feedback that she's getting, which is personal and private, has been good. And obviously the team has been very, very good the last few weeks. And we hope that they continue to, provide her a great distraction, because real life is real life. And the job is the job. But yeah, it's just that took my breath away when I read that this morning. So I hope everything in the plan that she's attacking is going well and on schedule.
Yeah, the official release from Florida State that came out earlier today quotes Coach Alameda. I am so thankful for the medical care from everyone at TMH. Cancer is a difficult diagnosis to hear, but I've been encouraged by the progress so far in my treatment. I've experienced an overwhelming outpouring of support from so many people. I am so thankful for their uplifting messages. My doctors and I are confident in the plan ahead of us to overcome this challenge. I'm grateful to be able to continue leading Team 42 as we chase our goals for the 2025 season. Michael Alford added to this, Coach Alameda is beloved by Florida State, Tallahassee, and the softball communities. She has attacked this challenge with a positive mentality that continues to serve her well on her path to recovery. Our primary concern is providing her with all the support she needs to simultaneously focus on her health and her team. Well put by both. So there's no transition from that. I'll just say we wish you nothing but the best. We wish you well, and you're in our thoughts. The Jeff Cameron Show continues in a moment here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Authorities set out on the water Saturday morning in St. Mark's to search for a missing boater. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission and the Coast Guard are working together to look for the boater after they were reported missing at about 9 a.m. The search is ongoing, so the information is limited. As of Saturday evening, the Coast Guard had a helicopter on scene, as they will be the lead agency for search and rescue efforts. FWC will take the lead in working to figure out what exactly led up to this investigation. Airlines at the Tallahassee International Airport are projecting flight impacts due to a TSA security checkpoint outage. The security checkpoint is experiencing delays due to TSA's machines being down. The airport tweeted Friday morning. Due to the outage, the airport said travelers are advised to arrive earlier than usual, since the airport anticipates longer TSA lines and flight check-in lines. This is Rachel Anae with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A severe thunderstorm watch continues. Severe thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 79. Southwest winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight. Slight chance of thunderstorms. Lows dip down to about 65. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 74 degrees.
Did you know that the survivability of a metal roof far exceeds that of a traditional shingle roof? At Metal Roofing Sales of Tallahassee, we have new state-of-the-art roll formers that produce the highest quality Versa panel, PBR panel, and standing seam options. And we will guarantee to match or beat any local competitor's pricing. We're a family-owned business, ready to offer you the best sales and installation service in the area. And don't forget about our veterans and first responders discounts. Call Metal Roofing Sales today, 850-536-9123. Or visit us online at metalroofing.net.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
There was Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude,
no.
I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean,
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich.
There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Well, I don't know how many of you have watched. I will say I'm thankful for the Florida-Texas Tech game. Otherwise, we would have had no good games yet again. The tournament is as chalkety chalk as you could possibly be. Maybe end up being that way with the women after tonight as well. We'll see. But it's only the second time since the NCAA tournament began to seed teams in 1979 that the Final Four consists of all 4 number 1 seeds. The only previous time this happened was back in 2008 when Kansas, Memphis, North Carolina, and UCLA all made the Final Four, which was also played in San Antonio, by the way. Just like this year's Final Four, Kansas, if you recall, in one of the great finals game, beat Memphis 75-68 in overtime for the title in 2008. And, you know, coming into the tournament, Auburn, Duke, Florida, and Houston, amongst the 5 major conference schools who entered the tournament with 5 or fewer losses. The other was St. John's at 30-4, but they can't shoot at all. It's embarrassing that they won 30 games shooting like that. The KenPom rankings of these 4 teams were the amongst the top 10 all time within the history of those rankings, which go back to 96. But still, like, if you followed that, you realized, like, I should just go chalk here. I did in one of my pools, and I'm winning the pool. So, and it wasn't any, stroke of genius or great insight. I just picked all the ones. And then like the one where I could pick the 2 ones, they're still around, obviously. Some other guys got the other 2 ones. We'll see who wins between the 2 of us. It's down to us. But if you bothered to pick an upset to be there, you're out. You're done. You got bounced. A couple people I know took St. John's. Nice to know you. And they got bounced by Arkansas. And, Arkansas is considered a Cinderella. They're out of the SEC. They're not a Cinderella. I know they were at 10. But, St. John's can't shoot. So that's how that ended up being that way. The other 6 teams in that top 10 list, only 3 of them actually won the NCAA tournament. Duke in 2001, by the way, back then. And you go through these different teams that have been in that top 10 list all time. It's Duke twice. I think UConn as well. Kansas in 2008 as well was number 9 on that list. We'll see. This tournament has led to a more interesting question than the analysis of the games. The analysis of the games are not as fun when it's pretty straightforward. They've got better players than your players. That's not as fun breakdown of how games are won. But when you watch Duke play, you're like, yep, that guy's the number 1 pick in the draft. You're screwed. He's better than anybody you have. And, oh, by the way, whenever it is that Duke decides to kind of, I don't want to say uglify the game, but really get nasty on defense, they get all kinds of second chance opportunities. They knock them down. Like, it's when I watch us play basketball filled of guys that can't shoot at all, we'll get an offensive rebound, just like everybody else does in college basketball. We'll kick out to a guy who's left open because there was a mad scramble for a rebound. He'll miss that 3 invariably. May not even hit rim, Tom. Duke will not. It is going in.
That would be a number 1 seed versus us.
But I'm just good teams in general. That wide open look, it goes down. That's the count it. That's the way it's going to work. Now I will say, you look at that Florida team and they have a superstar. And when you have a superstar in the backcourt, you're just like, okay, well, this kid makes shots, unbelievable shots over and over and over again. And, at the end of the day, Texas Tech has a 9-point lead with a few minutes to play. You're like, oh, this may be it. Too many made threes late when it mattered. And they kept missing the front end of a 1-and-1, which you can't do.
Yeah, that's my fault. I turned it on at 72-63. That's my fault.
You were feeling good, and then you cost them the game.
Well, no, I checked on it. I'm like, is this real? Is this real?
Can they do this?
Yeah. And then immediately you're seeing the run begin, and you're seeing the front ends and
make your front
offensive rebounds, kickouts. We're just like, hey, I'm going to aimlessly dribble to the top of the key and turn around and fire up a three and watch this thing rattle home. Like, oh, all right. So it's going to be that kind of a show, is it? And Tech can't make their free throws. So, yeah. Even when they set up two excellent offensive plays, Texas Tech did, to either assert themselves and close off the rally and or retake the lead in their last chance, that's not going in. You just know it's not. That's the way this works.
A great look to tie. I mean, that's as good a look as it's as good a look as you're going to get.
Yep.
But Clayton's the best player on the floor, so at the end of the day, best players do what best players do, and he did. He's phenomenal.
Well, they hit 4 straight threes.
Yeah, can we get a kid of that caliber here? I know we just brought in a kid, and I'm impressed with what I'm hearing. Yeah. I'm impressed with what I'm hearing about Luke's work ethic and all the things that he's doing right now, but we won't know until we see the team on the court, of course. But it's goodness gracious. But the reason I say that the question isn't about, the analysis of the tournament. The analysis of the tournament is that the best teams have won. The 4-1 seeds just keep winning. And they've got better players, and they're winning the games. But the question is whether or not this trend, is it an anomaly? Is it something that's going to be sustained in the NIL era? Is this where we're going in the transfer portal? 3 of the 4 teams heading to San Antonio have at least, by the way, 2 COVID exemptions, 5th-year seniors in their rotations.
We're almost done.
I mean, God almighty. 30-year-olds out here. We'll see. And more importantly, for basketball, you wonder the plight of the mid-major. Now, we documented last week, there is an aspect of this house money and the so-called salary caps that athletic departments are going to have around $20.5 million to distribute amongst their student athletes, or just athletes, as we call them these days. And you realize that the vast majority of those that care to make the money in the big conferences are going to pour their money largely into football. Where some of the smaller schools or mid-majors may have an opportunity is, hey, basketball is a profitable endeavor, and we don't have a football program. So let's pour the lion's share of our money into basketball. And all of a sudden, the very distinct advantage that the money schools have in the Power 2 or the Power 4 is negated in a sport like basketball. If, for example, Villanova's already an elite program, so that's not a good example. But let's just say like a Drake or somebody like that were to spend $8 million on a roster for basketball.
But the problem is that nobody cares until March. It's still going to generate money for you.
It will.
So that's why you have to pay attention to it and invest in it. But the problem is, let's say that the mid-majors do execute that plan, and therefore they do have 4 of the top 10 teams in the country, because they can spend the money on the level with the power programs like Duke that want to spend the money. Okay. Well, we'll see in the tournament. That's, you don't watch more Atlantic 10 basketball just because they're spending more money on these kids. I think the viewership is the viewership and the product is the product. I wonder, as we move forward here in time, if men's basketball is going to continue to produce at the clip that it is relative to football. Right now, call it 80-20 to be oversimplified. 4-to-1 income from football to basketball. When we get into another round of 2 and 3 contracts, is it still going to be 4-to-1? Is it going to be 5-to-1 football? 6-to-1? I just wonder where this is all going in terms of the why do we care part of it. We all care about the tournament. Understood. But the power balancing stuff, I care about it for Luke Laux. I care about it.
I do too, yeah.
Because I like it when we're good at basketball. But in the grand scheme of does the country care, I'll be interested to see what these numbers look like, especially for a chalky tournament. What is viewership like across all these networks?
Well, I think, again, these initial numbers, you and I love to look at these numbers and see the trends where things are going. And if you recall, we were really interested and surprised by the fact that the bowl games in college football, the inconsequential bowl games, of which there are a bounty, they did very well from a viewership standpoint. And the thought was that won't continue. That as we get to... Now, listen, they've never needed to be attended. to make money. They've never been about the gate. It's always been about your corporate sponsor. Where you make the money is, do you have a big-time corporate sponsor? And year in and year out, whether it's Pop-Tarts or Cheetos or whatever, somebody comes in there and pays the money to be the sponsor of the bowl. And so you look in the stands, there's 15,000 people at the Almond Bowl or whatever, and you're like, okay, great. But it doesn't matter. They weren't relying on that to make their money. But the television rating was good this year for these bowls, and I don't think that's going to continue, especially as they expand the playoff. You're going to see even less significance, at least in terms of the value of these bowl games. I'll be very curious to see. In the NCAA tournament, you have a problem partly because, again, this has been a trend in college basketball for some time. Nobody relates to any of the teams in men's basketball. You don't relate to any of the teams. It's not like yesteryear where you watched a freshman come in and light it up and had real potential and got to know who he was. And you had a very famous, a character for a coach who'd been there forever. And all of a sudden, you had an identity, a personality that you, I guess, classified this team in this region, the style of play, the character that led the team, the cast of characters that made up the starting five. And we all knew who they were because we saw them every year. We saw them they made the Sweet 16 last year. They got better this year. They made the Final Four. Can they win it all next year? We shall see. Will Louis Carnesecca get his championship? Will, and on and on and on we went. And nobody does that now. Guys are here. They're gone. Cooper Flagg is the best player in college basketball. He's here for one season. He's at the biggest program in college basketball at Duke. And that's great. We know who he is because he was an internet sensation before he ever got to Duke. And we know he's going to be the number one pick. But if he hadn't gone to Duke, I'm not sure how many people would have seen him play. And you're not going to latch on to it, even if you had learned about him. Like, oh, this kid out of Arizona is really good.
No, it's more like an exhibition than it is a career at a place. Like Zion, it was a hot ticket in town. Here was a hot ticket across America when he was at Duke. I mean, I've never seen secondary market tickets.
Yeah, he was a freak.
I mean, they were going $700, $1,000 if you wanted to sit first few rows sideline for Florida State and Duke. I mean, that's in Tallahassee. What? But it was more like, if you think about it, let's just say that he didn't eat himself into trouble and didn't have injury problems at the NBA level.
Eat himself into trouble.
Kevin Durant in Texas. Okay, here's another example. Okay, now he's donated money back to Texas, and that's awesome for him. But do you think about all-time Texas basketball greats, and you're like, well, Kevin Durant is Mr. Texas basketball. I don't know, man. Like, he was there. It's almost like when you see guys participate for their country in the Olympics or a World Cup or an international event. That's awesome. But it's just this little stop along the way.
Yeah.
That's what college has become. It's almost like a lot of academies and/or use the baseball analogy. You're graduating from single A to double A to triple A. And in a lot of cases, that's literally what's happening in college careers because guys play for 3 colleges before they leave. And so it's their single A, it's their double A, it's their triple A, and then they get called up to the majors. And that's happening in football. I'm looking at the situation here with Florida State football, and I'm saying, okay, we're going to be in spring camp a year from now. How many of the coaches are still here?
Well,
how many of the players are still here? Because it feels like, Tony White doesn't want to be here for 5 years. Does he want to be here for 2? If we have a good season and he's good, is he still here next year? If that offense improves 70 places, 80 places, 90 places from being god-awful to top 20 in rushing, does Gus still want to be here? So you have to look at these things almost as rentals more than, and I'm talking coaches all the way down through the rosters. That hurts the game. And that hurts interest and it hurts ratings.
I mentioned, and you and I have had this discussion because I'm so impressed with Tony White, and I fear that, he will make an instant impact, which is a good thing. But, how long is it a good thing? He probably goes elsewhere to become a head coach. You're not wrong to bring up Gus here. I know a lot of people feel like Gus wanted to, relieve himself of the burdens of being a head coach. Well, that's a nice talking point, and that's what he says. He was also about to be fired. So I don't think it was that at all. I think he got a fresh start where he could come in and just call plays. But if they're really, really successful and they really move the football this year, somebody's going to reach out to him. Well, his agent will shop him is what he'll do. First of all, he's the same agent that all of those guys have, and he's shopping all of them to be head coaches. It's more money in his pocket. And it's not hard to envision a scenario where both sides of the ball, this is on the one hand what we're hoping for and why Mike brought him in. It's not hard to envision a scenario by which all of a sudden the offense is worlds better than it was a year ago, and I don't know how it couldn't be. You could accidentally be worlds better than they were a year ago, let alone intentional effort and change and competence. So, they probably will be a top 50 offense, I suppose, and probably a lot better than that, but I'm just gauging conservatively here. I think from what I've heard from Tony White, they're going to be much better defensively. And if he gets a chance, he'll jump at it. He's already interviewed to be a head coach. So this is a guy that it's known professionally that he wants to be.
Hey, I'm excited he's here. I'm excited that we're trying something very different, radically different off of 2 and 10. It's just I'm using the coaching side because it holds true for the rosters as well. It's like, all right, I think I'm going to enjoy watching this offensive line. They're all transfers and redshirt seniors. Like, thanks for the 12 games. I'm not giving them back. I want those 12 games out of you.
You're not buying a jersey, though?
We're gonna have to start. No, we're gonna have to start this process all over again next year. Like that's the hard part about it.
I think the last guy that we're gonna be like, I'm not a jersey guy. I don't wear jerseys, but if I did, like the last guy that we would wear a jersey for recently, we'd be like, I'm gonna get me a Toa Feely jersey. Man. Lawrence was around, man. He was around. He cared.
You should have done a 1, 2, 3 Lawrence Toa Feely chant in the stands.
Well, they wouldn't. I mean, good God, man. But we watched Lawrence come a long way.
Yeah. Let's get Singleton in
there. An awful long way, right? I mean, that dude. Yeah. Hour number 2, fourth cup. We got more FSU football to talk. We'll do so in a second.
Whidden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old funny paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like Keith Lawson Services, Tallahassee Automobile Museum, ABC Flooring, or Krispy Kreme Donuts. The country's best donut place has great different monthly specialty donuts like Ghirardelli, Oreo, Chips Ahoy, and too many more to mention. Sign up online at KrispyKreme.com for exclusive email discounts or download the app that lets you pile up rewards every time you order ahead. Krispy Kreme, America's favorite donut.
Take a sip and have a trip with Tallulah's famous THC slushies. Lots of fun flavors to choose from, refreshingly delicious, and the perfect way to relax. Stop by Tallulah's and try the all-new sugar-free Jolly Rancher slushie today and find out why everyone is going mad for honey. A rare, intriguing, deep red honey harvested from the mountains of Nepal. Mad Honey is the latest trend, creating quite the buzz. Literally. Try Mad Honey today, only available at a Tallulah store near you. There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas.
Busy night of NBA basketball. Magic hosting the Clippers. Clippers are 3.5-point favorites, over under 211.5. And the Heat and Wizards will play in our nation's capital tonight. Miami is an 8.5-point favorite. The over-under at 220.5. The Major League Baseball season continues for the Tampa Bay Rays out to a 2-1 start. They're going to play host to the Pirates coming up today. Tampa is a -172 favorite. Pittsburgh pays a +144, over-under at 8.5 runs. The Marlins and Mets are going to match up against each other. The Mets are -184 favorites. Marlins pay at +154.
$250 bonus and you open up a G-Bank Visa signature card. Visa.com/GBank.
I'm Matt Pauley. This has been your action update on Tallahassee's Real Talk station, Real Talk 93.3.
Lowe's knows member-only doorbuster deals make SpringFest savings even better. Right now, rewards members can get 3 19.3-ounce Bonnie Plants vegetables and herbs for just $10. Plus, save $50 on a Charbroil Performance Series 4-burner grill, now $149. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/7, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location, subject to change while supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms.
Okay, raise your hand if you want to make your life a little bit easier. Great. Now raise your other hand if you like to be comfortable. Perfect. Now that you have both hands raised, imagine putting on your shoes. And that, folks, right there is your answer to an easier, more comfortable life. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. This is footwear you don't need your hands to put on. They can be raised in the air, and you can just step it and go. Why don't you experience what people can't stop talking about? Life-changing Skechers Slip-ins. Get your Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Fresh Florida blueberries. In a world of jumbo-sized snacks and artificial flavors, Florida blueberries stand proud, bursting with antioxidants and ready to tackle hunger, one delectable bite at a time. From muffins to smoothies or straight out of the carton, they are the tiny titans of taste, delivering freshness as bold as they are blue, proving once again that good things come in small packages. To see what Florida blueberries can do for you, visit freshfromflorida.com today.
When you need the plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to wait?
Hey guys, we really need you over here. My toddler just flushed a whole bunch of toys down the toilet, and everything, and I mean everything, is backing up.
2 hours?
Hey guys, just checking in. The water has reached the hallway now, and it's getting pretty deep. Can you get here anytime soon?
4 hours?
Hey guys, can you please hurry? Now my wiener dog is doing the backstroke over here, and they're not known to be strong swimmers. Hey honey, grab his life jacket.
8 hours?
Oh, so now you're here.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. Our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. And now M&L Plumbing can also be your go-to for all septic tank pump-out services. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing. Your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or online at mnlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
pause, and away we go. We started to talk some FSU football there in the last segment, and I wanted to carry it over for a second. Some things that stood out to me. Again, no surprise, I'll hit on this frequently. I'm sure there's a very big difference between listening to some coaches and other coaches, and I think you see the stark contrast between Tony White and Gus Malzahn, but both provided some insight as to what went down at the scrimmage over the weekend. And now here we go. Now we're beyond the practices we don't see. This, in turn, is a scrimmage we don't see, but it's harder, I think, to kind of give you nothing after a scrimmage than it is a practice. You can give us a whole lot of nothing, and they do, after practice. Scrimmage, you got to go into a little bit more detail. It's, much more exploratory. You can learn a lot from a scrimmage, so I would think. Now, they're not going to sit in there and bathe themselves in negativity by telling you so-and-so sucked today. So you're not going to get that part. But you are going to hear about the players that have stepped forward. You are going to hear about the things that the two coordinators and the head coach liked about the scrimmage. And they have shown a propensity to at least reveal when guys are dinged or guys are missing time. And so, you can gauge a little bit about what's happening here. But what stands out to me, big picture, is that they are trying to implement this tempo and get, you run over all the coaches. We got differing numbers. What was it, 100, 120 plays, whatever it was. It was more than 100. Let's put it that way. It was 100 or more is a better way of saying it, okay? All right. Well, that's different. That is different. And I'm curious to see what that, I guess, reveals to us when we go to the scrimmage. We are allowed to see one scrimmage, and I don't know where that's going to be. That hasn't been announced yet, has it? I don't think so.
When the open one?
Yeah.
It could be this Saturday or it could be the 19th.
Okay.
Those are the other two scrimmages they have on the docket, but it hasn't been truly confirmed when we're going to get access.
Well, I'm excited about it. I do want to see, really how physical they are based on the fact that Gus Malzahn in the first scrimmage ran 100-plus plays, and 60% of those plays were on the ground. They were running the football. He's establishing the run. And by definition, you've got to be physical in order to do that. And a defense, in order to stop the run, by definition, has to come up, bow their necks, and be physical themselves. So I think come hell or high water, this team is going to be more physical. And that will go a long way in giving you an opportunity every week to win a football game. Now, again, I don't know how good they're going to be. We'll see. A lot of that depends on what happens between right here, right now, and that first game against Alabama. They got a lot to learn. And thus, we're hearing that this is really just about install of the basics. One thing that Gus did say, Tom, that I'm not surprised to hear, and I'm fine with, you've pointed out many times. I watched the one that you and Dominic Robinson did, the All-22s, breaking down Gus's offense. Gus has been in college football for a very long time, 20 years. They don't run a ton of different plays. I mean, they run what they run. He runs what he runs. A lot of it's about tempo, but there's a physicality to what he runs. He wants to run the ball despite tempo. And the key to that success isn't so much about trickeration, if you will, the way that some people perceive it. It's about running what you well and running it well.
Yeah, that's true. The trickeration comes off of the choices that can be made at the point, but also the gadgets and the tricks come with different window dressing, pre-snap motions, jets, wholesale movement before the snap. This is actually something that he shares in common with West Coast minds like John Gruden.
Right.
How often did John Gruden move, wholesale before the snap?
Yeah, he was trying to find the one-on-one matchup.
Yes, exactly right. Trying to isolate one guy and another guy and or give indicators across the board to the quarterback of, well, this is exactly what they're going to be running. Gus does some of that out of the gun. Now, in those days early on, that was always under center that these things would happen. But Gus does some of that, presentation differences. And I'm sure that's a lot of the stuff that he's talking about. They will run reverses and misdirections and double passes and things like that. But I'm sure that a lot of it is, all right, you just got to know where to line up first of all before we even start moving you around before the snap. So I'm sure that's part of what's going on right now. And then also, all right, this is going to be a read option for Tommy Castellanos. I'm not going to put in the option for a reverse or the option for a bubble outlet pass that's behind the line and we're going to double pass it over the top. Let's just get in that base formation and not be, because they brought ACC officials to the scrimmage over the weekend. Let's not be offsides, as an offensive coordinator would call. Let's not false start. Let's not jump the snap count. Let's get all those things down. It sounds like he's ready to get moving on to the next thing, but they have been very basic on install so far.
I like hearing both he and Tony say things like, look, I want you to play fast, but I want you to play well. I got to see you play fast, and I got to see you play well. I got to see you guys have a handle on what we're doing. The only way you can play fast and play well is if you're able to pick up on what we're doing. And right now it's an install. We're just going to run this, drill this over and over and over and over again. That's fine with me. I look forward to, I think Tony talks to players in a way that is enjoyable to hear him relate. So when he's talking about how he's talking to the players, I really do. I perk up. He has he's emphasized daily about the, dominant contact and null speed. I believe were the quotes, right?
That's correct.
Dominant contact and null speed. Now, look, if they're not able to do that, that's just a nice little phrase to describe the way you'd like to play.
All gas, no brakes.
Right. That's just a way of describing the way you'd like to play, not how you are playing. But I do think it stresses physicality. I know Corey wrote that in his column about what he derived from the coaches and the plays 60-40 run to pass that were run in the scrimmage. I concur with that. I agree with him. I think that does tell me they're stressing the physical part of this offense, as well as what you better be on this defense if you're going to play for Tony.
Well, and then also, Tony wants that challenge. You can tell that he's happy he's getting that from Gus because it snaps people out of it. Because he was asked a question about how do you get the physicality, to the level you want to. He was, well, hey, you guys realize that what Gus did today, even though we weren't there, the way he was speaking to the media, he was like, hey, he got our attention with the physicality, man. So if that's the way they're going to play on offense, then we have to rise to the moment. And I think what Tony White was willing to share last week is that they went through it a couple of days. That on Thursday, they were challenged and they spiraled mentally. And then he was looking for a response on Saturday and he got it. But he's very much having to play the part of psychologist, which he's very open about restoring confidence and restoring the ability to allow one play to stand by itself. Make the most of a mistake. If you're going to make a mistake, mitigate the damage as much as you possibly can. Rally and rebound and go make a big play.
He gave the great example about not giving up on a play, hawking a guy down, downfield, tackling him at the 10, getting an interception the next play. Right. That's the way football should be played anyhow. You should always do that. Give yourself a fighting chance, but that's good to hear.
And then also the trusting of your training. There's an example he speaks on Daryl Jackson. And Daryl Jackson, being taught to look at certain keys. And then Daryl Jackson finally internalizing that after what's implied is after struggling and making a play in the backfield for a loss of 4 or a loss of 5. And he brought him over. He says, all right, now that's what I'm talking about, man. Just understand what I'm trying to teach you.
Yeah. There you go, big man. Yeah. It's hilarious to listen to him talk about that. He's always instilling confidence. I do like that aspect of what he does verbally. When you hear him talk about players, you can tell that he'd be fun to work for, work with, learn from, I think, because there is a positive to go along with, I'm sure, how difficult it is when he's riding you to get the most out of you, but I think it works both ways. I wanted to go back to something you said, though, and for the people that don't know, didn't see it. He said about Coach Malzahn to Tony White, you all didn't see Coach Malzahn today. He laid it out there from the beginning, which was awesome. You think you're passing the ball 50 or 60 times a game? But that guy is not like that. There's an attitude over there on that side of the ball. He's talking about how they want to establish the run. And I always think about up-tempo teams taking advantage, especially if there's a physical element to it, just like they did at Auburn. We watched that. When we got to see it up close and personal, you and I were both surprised by just how physical they were for the style of play that they played. But then, and if you think about it, the only way to survive in the SEC would have been to play that way. So that makes sense. But we hadn't seen it up close and personal until we were there at the national championship game. The second part of that is I think that when you run that kind of tempo, whether you're running the ball or throwing the ball, either way, when you have success early, you watch defenses spiral. Whenever, that's why you're always, and they're just looking panicked over and over again, panicked. So I do agree with Tony when he talks about, if I can prepare these guys to go against this, there's nothing we will see in a game
right
that we can't overcome or adjust to. I think he's right. And what I mean by that is, again, you might get overwhelmed by Alabama, but it's not going to be because you're mentally fragile and you begin to –
and you're confused.
And you begin to kind of rat trap the way you see defenses do. They won't play as fast as Gus wants to play, meaning Alabama. But the point is, if you can react to and adjust to and have success against a tempo-based offense, one that's really going, that has a physical element to it, I don't suppose anything can overwhelm you but sheer physicality.
Yeah. As Mike Norvell would say, these are opportunities in communication. That's what this is, though.
Yeah.
If you could communicate through that turbo offense, get set, and everybody get aligned and be on the same page for the call, you'll be ready for anything. But the thing is that the way Tony describes how he's coaching the guys, he's very giving of his time when he's given the dais, and I like that. But the way, if he said a bunch of cliches for 16 minutes, nobody would care. But he's opening up about that. It seems as though he has plenty of experience and confidence that he can restore the confidence of his players. There are some guys that when they see weak players, I'm talking about coaches, they go, well, you're just soft. And you could tell that this ain't going to work. Rick Trickett had no time for you if you were going to be a soft offensive lineman. And I get that old school mentality. But if you're trying to evoke something out of that player,
especially if you at least recognize many of them are broken,
you're going to need a few more tools in the bag than just the tough love and then maybe once in a while putting your arm around a guy. It seems like Tony White has that touch from the way he describes the way he's going about the business of restoring confidence. But you're never going to know that until they get into the heat. And I think that was part of what the scrimmage provided. Both coaches said that they learned more at the scrimmage than they did any practice leading up to the scrimmage about who the players are.
Yeah, that's the way it should be, though, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Because there's no safety net. You do or you don't.
Really quickly, we didn't do this last time. I screwed it up, but it's on the screen right now. I did not select the above and beyond player of the weekend or the week. I'm going to tell you that this is a guess. I'm going to believe what I hear. I'm going to tell you that I believe what I hear from sources, believe what I hear out of the coaches' mouths.
Oh.
All right. Believe it or not, maybe I'm falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. But I think Deuce Robinson is above and beyond the player on offense that I'm most excited to see. We're getting reports day in and day out that he is making big plays, that he flashes every practice, that he uses his sizable frame at 6'6" very well, that he's had big plays down the field when they've given the quarterbacks the opportunity to throw it down the field. He's made those plays pretty consistently. And so I'm excited about that, and I'll choose him.
It's a good choice. If that's all true,
I don't know. I don't know why you'd make that up.
No,
I mean,
I wasn't saying if that's all true, full pause. I was just, the thing I'm not worried about from speaking with Dad, right? Speaking with Dominic, he's coming here with the right mindset.
Yeah. Well, he wants to dominate.
And he can affect the room in a positive way. And he can affect future Florida State wide receivers in a positive way. The one thing I was worried about was, well, is he actually going to show out and practice and earn the credibility? You talk about this all the time about leadership's nice, but you kind of have to be good to establish the credibility for people to listen to you in the first place. Because if you're not any good, it's wonderful that you are mature. It's wonderful that you are an excellent communicator. But stinking at the sport means nobody's going to pay attention to what you have to say. So I'm glad to hear that he's having the physical impact on the field, because I think he can change that room. That room has been soft. That room has been real soft. So he can change it. For me, the guy who went above and beyond is Nestor Cortez. Because Nestor Cortez this weekend surrendered home runs on pitch 1, pitch 2,
and 3.
And pitch 3 of his first start of the season at Yankee Stadium. Not usual that I give flowers to the Yankees lineup, but I just think that's remarkable. That is above and beyond any bad start to any start I've ever heard. 3 consecutive pitches, solo home runs for the opponent.
It'll hurt your feelings.
That is above and beyond a disappointment if you're a Brewers fan saying, okay, we got our new guy with the mustache on the hill. Let's see what he's all about. Bam, 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 on the way to the Yankees scoring 20 runs in that game.
Which led to the question, are the Yankees using slow-pitch softball bats? Because it looks like it. And what are these things, and why are they not illegal? And they are why you're hearing the phrase torpedo bats. They are legal, and it was a MIT professor that came up with it, which optimizes the most important tool in baseball by redistributing weight from the end of the bat towards the area 6 to 7 inches below its tip. Hey, now, where major league players typically strike the ball. And so for generations, they've tried to figure out a way to make that part of the bat, for lack of a better term, bigger.
That's right. And there were some moonshots. I get it's Yankee Stadium, but
oh yes, it's a joke of a stadium.
Yosemite ain't holding some of these Aaron Judge, and then the Bellinger one that was hit on Saturday. Good gracious.
Bellinger tends to hit the ball a long way when he does connect. He hits the ball a long way.
Yeah.
So it's a barrage of long balls from the Yankees, which has led to a more in-depth article and a good interview with Jeff Pass in both his article and the live interview, which is included. I won't read to you and chide you in that way, but if you want to know more of what is all the rage now regarding these torpedo bats and the MIT-educated professor at the University of Michigan who came up with them, go to ESPN.com. Not that I work for them, but there's a good, solid, insightful report about these bats.
I just wonder, at what point do you turn the game off or start doing something else with the game on your television? Is it 3 consecutive home runs on 3 pitches? Like, call me when we get 3 outs. I'm going to go stand up and mop over here. I'm going to get the dustpan out. It's been a minute.
You know, what's interesting about that is I was reminded, Tom, in the 20-9 game or whatever the one you're talking about. I think that's the one, right? I was reminded.
Saturday,
yeah, I was reminded that of the guy that tells his wife and kids we're leaving.
That's right.
The first quarter of the FSU NC State game. Like, all right, we're out of here. This is ridiculous. It was 35-0.
We have a hotel room.
No, we're leaving.
We're leaving.
We're driving back. We can still get there by nightfall if we leave right now. This is ridiculous. I think it's true. I mean, that was. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know that I ever will again. I hope I do.
It's all day happy hour at the Twin Peaks for the NFL. I'm going home. I'm going to watch the NFL tomorrow, Mary.
Oh, goodness gracious. Ira Shafel, Warchant.com, set to join us. We think. Communication issues?
Well, the storm's about to hit, so he's going to pick up. So maybe.
We're
listing him as questionable.
Hey, tune in to see. It could be a great mystery. We'll work it out either way. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816-186.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our used showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS number 373031.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Ira Chaffel set to join us and make a quick appearance as he gets set to brace for this storm. Pick up his daughter, I believe, is where he's going now. Lots of you scrambling as is this what we do now when you and I are on the air? It seems like once a week there's some sort of mother of all storms coming through here while we're on the air.
It's a squall. Yeah, I hope it turns out okay. I'm just hoping that can it hold off till about I don't know, 45.
Yeah.
More minutes.
Hang in there. Let's get my man in. Ira Chaffel joins us now on the Jeff Cameron Show. Hello, brother. How are you?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good, man. Okay, rapid fire. I know you're getting in and out of this storm quickly. So, first impressions. You did the tour, right? You did the hard hat tour. Talk to me.
Yeah, man. It's kind of amazing. When you, especially underneath the stadium, just how much bigger on that side of the stadium, the west side of the stadium. The concourses. I mean, it used to be very cramped and narrow.
Yep.
Everybody listening to this has probably been through there. That has really expanded. You can see where they're going to be putting in a lot more concession stands and restrooms, and those are all positive things. A lot of what we saw though is, it's kind of it's where the other half is going to live. It's the Lowe's boxes. And Jeff, I want you to know they're going to, if you're in one of the 8 Lowe's boxes, the founder suites. In one of the 8 founder suites, you're going to have a private dining area. You're going to have some bars back there. It's going to be a good time. No, it's I think the biggest thing on the west side from a fan experience, the people that aren't in the most exclusive areas is all of those chair backs are going to be much wider. They're going to have much more leg room. So those are huge positives. And the whole thing, man, it's just you look at it and I'm just always amazed at how these things are built, how quickly, and just how, the timelines, I think everybody, that seen the pictures or watched the video that Aslan put out and, people are like, that thing's really going to be ready in August. But they insist it's going to be ready by July, that they're going to be able to run some
nice
some test runs in August. So we'll see, but it's it's definitely going to be really nice.
So can I ask you this, and then we'll get to the football from over the weekend. I need to know. So when you're talking about these luxury areas, and that's fine, that's where the modern stadium builds have gone. It's about the amenities and enhanced experiences to keep people from watching the game at home on their 100-inch televisions. I got it. Do you think, from what you can tell, that it's going to affect the atmosphere negatively? Can you see, are there going to be pockets of just quiet, rich people sitting at the bar and not making noise at these games?
So one thing that, I was talking to somebody and they said that they felt like one thing that they really were conscious of because of what has happened with the Champions Club. I mean,
disaster.
It's, the fact that people could stay inside the air conditioning and still see the game from inside the Champions Club, I think was a design flaw. And, in hindsight, I think they realized that, if you're going to be down in the club area, if you're going to be at the bar for a few minutes or whatever it is, that's fine, but you're not going to be able to see the game. So because of that, they feel like that's going to draw people back out. Now, maybe you can't tell people what to do. If they paid for that air conditioning space, they can go in there for a little bit. But I think the feeling is the other thing. One thing I was encouraged by is, those people that area, the patio down at field level, where I think there will be people that could go congregate down there like a social setting. I think some people are worried about those people not being able to see the field and just, are they going to be removed from the action? We were down in that area and they'll be able to see the field, but they also all have seats. So again, I don't know that people are going to want to be down there for 3 or 4 hours standing when they can go back up into their seats. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as some people fear, but we really won't know for sure until it happens.
Number one takeaway from the coaches' interviews post-scrimmage. I've given my thoughts on that. I want yours. What is, as you've had time to think about it after asking questions, I'm always impressed with Tony White. I could tell Gus doesn't want to be there, but there was something to be learned from both. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, some of it we've written about on the website, and like you said, you've talked about it as well. I think the biggest thing to me is, I feel like they're I won't say buy-in, but, it's starting to settle in. I think the thing we need to remember is, these guys did just get here 3 or 4 months ago. They have just had a few practices, but I felt like you're getting a sense from these coaches that they're starting to understand what they've got to work with. And that's important because until you know that, you really don't know where things can go. And I think one of the things I was hoping for with the new coaching staff was that, you start to see some guys maybe emerge that had been hadn't found a role yet. And I think you're seeing signs of that. One of the big ones, talking to some people that were at the scrimmage, it really sounds like Roy Dell Williams is played really well at running back. And he's a guy that was at Alabama, was only available for a few games last year for Florida State. But it seems like he's lost some weight. He's come back from his injury really strong. And, I still love Usman Kroma. I think he might end up being the guy long term. But I have a feeling, I kind of get the sense that maybe Roy Dell might be the guy early in the season is kind of that every down back. And it seems like they're pretty excited about what he brings.
Final thing, I guess, defensively, anything that stands out to you there?
Defensively, I think Mike Norvell sounded pretty encouraged by some of the defensive linemen that we haven't really talked about too much. Some of the transfers, McCray and some of these guys that they brought in from Diggs, that they brought in from other schools that we really didn't know how the step up in competition would go. And it sounds like those guys are starting to flash some. And the way that they keep talking up Darrell Jackson. I feel like if the defensive line is good. And I've heard from several people that Elijah Herring, the linebacker transfer from Memphis, is going to be a really nice player as well. I really feel like the defensive line is where all the attention has to be, because if they're good, that really kind of sets up everything else. So the way that Norvell talked about them, the way Tony White keeps talking about Darrell Jackson, I think those are some encouraging things.
Brother, go do what you got to do. Appreciate it as always. I'll talk to you and see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
Yep, peace. That's Ira Chaffel, Warchant.com. I didn't push him out the door. He's doing a pickup drop-off thing, and we've got a nasty storm about to hit Tallahassee. It may be brief, it may be fleeting, but it is pitch black outside of our weather window currently as I look outside doing the show.
It is. It looks like it's going to be one of those short-lived squall lines, but you just don't know where the tornado and or severe storm is going to hit along that line. That's, whatever it is, 100 miles and top to bottom. It's one of those. Springtime. That's what happens in the spring. I wasn't here for the tornadoes last year. I heard that was something.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was here. And then, unfortunately, so was Capital City Country Club as they wore it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Use a lot more sunblock at Capital City these days. Yeah. It's,
Clean some things up, though.
It makes one's a lot easier of a hole.
Yes,
Number one, you're like, this feels more wide open.
Yeah, I got it. I can spray this a little bit here. I'll be all right.
Lost about 1,000 trees, I think.
It's
unbelievable.
A lot. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A crash on I-10 involving a pickup truck and tractor trailer in Leon County left 3 people seriously hurt Saturday morning. The crash blocked all lanes near mile marker 200. The incident began when a man driving a pickup truck with a utility trailer attached was heading east and had a mechanical issue with the vehicle that caused the driver to slow down to 20 miles per hour. A man driving a semi-trailer loaded with 30,000 pounds of food crashed into the back of the pickup. The driver told FPH he didn't have enough time to stop and couldn't go around because all other lanes were busy. After the crash, the pickup truck was pushed across the lane's emergency shoulder before hitting a guardrail. The 65-year-old man from Quincy driving the pickup came to a stop on the south shoulder. The driver was seriously hurt, along with 2 other male passengers. The 39-year-old man driving the semi came to a stop on the north emergency shoulder after being pushed in the opposite direction. The driver was not hurt. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by McLemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A severe thunderstorm watch continues. Severe thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 79. Southwest winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds
there's like, families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And, I've
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Dun, 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 dun. It's about to hit, buddy. Yes, there's a Monday Smash tonight. A few questions to answer in the chat. If you want to fire away, please do. I'll get to some of them here. Third hour, we get into a lot of football, Florida State talk in that first segment as well. You're going to want to carry over for that bonus hour. It's a good one today. Always is, but it's especially true today because we hit the FSU football hard in the first 25 minutes or so. Jeff, is there a lot of curiosity over Jeff, there is a lot of curiosity over Trevor Jackson, especially with Gus's offense. Can you offer anything about Jackson to quell all this curiosity? Tom is flagging me down. I'm going to let him start because he's got something right away. I'll give you my answer after Tom's. Go for it.
Yeah, so obviously, with the coaching staff, what you're hearing is a lot more about Kevin Sperry and not much about Trevor Jackson.
That is correct.
At all. However, I have heard from people connected to the first wave of practices that Trevor had a nice offseason and is at least present in the fight for somebody who is a PWO, preferred walk-on. I don't think there's any question that Kevin Sperry is climbed higher than Trevor Jackson already in the pecking order because he's talked about openly a lot. But it's not as though Trevor doesn't have a pulse. I've actually heard his name mentioned saying, hey, by the way, he's coming along pretty nicely too.
Look, at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, and it's certainly not personal, he's never going to play here.
If he does, we got real problems.
End of story. Don't worry about it. That's that. So, next. I mean, that sounds terrible, but I don't mean it to be.
But it doesn't mean he can't actually play a little bit, and the system would fit for him. It's just that he's mentioned. Oh, and also, but Sperry is being thrown out there front and center
by a true freshman in his first ever spring. You're screwed. I mean, I don't know what other way to say it. That's the end of it. So that's that. You know, I think, and again, that's not a knock on the kid personally. That's just something you easily deduce based on what we're hearing and seeing. And again, you know, I got to tell you, there is an area, and I don't want this to devolve into this conversation because it's very easy for me to do with my level of frustration surrounding this program. We got to do a better job of recruiting. We're not recruiting well, and I'm a little frustrated, but that holds true at the quarterback position as well, where we're even having these kinds of conversations. Now, it's changing, I think, and I don't mean long-term recruiting's changing for sure. We'll see. I mean, we got time to judge these guys. They're not exactly kicking ass right now in the recruiting world, but I will say at quarterback, you're going to be recruiting a different kind of quarterback because of the offense you run. So we'll see. You're going to have to gauge and judge it based on a different set of parameters.
That's the one we go back and forth on our own in these conversations about recruiting and, you know, where Florida State is. Are they actually good at it? Are these?
No, they're not good at it.
Well, this next staff, the second wave
Right.
relative to the first staff, I'll specify that. Are they good at it thing? And I think we've both taken each other's sides at some point. I'm like, well, what are they supposed to do? They're coming off a 2-10. You got to prove it a little bit.
This is the catch-22.
You can still get the kids on campus at least, or you still could make the finalist list. Could you?
I'm
not so sure.
Can you get the kids on campus after going 2-10?
It's a toughie.
I'm not sure you can. Yeah, it is a toughie, and that's why you don't go 2-10. It's hard to get kids to go, I want to go visit the 2-10 school. It's a toughie. Capital T, capital O, capital U, capital G, capital H, capital I, capital E. It is a massive toughie because there's not much combating the negative recruiting being done against you. You can't, like, when that person says, hey, you guys went 2-10 last year. We did, Oliver. We did. That's fair. I wish we had not. And perhaps had you been here starting at right guard for us, it would have been a different type of season.
Oops. Is that my offer sheet? Usually that has to be a conversation had elsewhere. Let me just pull that back. You never saw this. That would be, I did not mean to show you the $400,000 offer sheet.
Yeah. It's tough. We'll see. We'll get a better sense regarding the recruiting prowess of some of these guys after this season. That's
maybe. Problem is, if they're successful, let's say Tony knocks it out the park, will you ever have seen the proof or no proof of his recruiting prowess? Because he would have been here for a cycle in which half of the cycle you're recruiting against 2-10.
Well, the fear is what you talked about earlier, Tom. This fear that, look, if Tony does a very good job, he's likely to get an offer from another school to become a head coach. If Mike is unable to turn this thing around, if the damage is too much to overcome and they fall flat again this year, and I don't know what that number is, I don't know what the magic number is, but I would argue that when you've scheduled 2 automatic wins, and you're looking at a 10-game schedule, in essence, because of the 2 automatic wins, if you do anything less than 5-5, and truthfully, 5-5 ain't good enough either, but if you do anything less than that, you will be fired. You should be. You should be fired, period. But even if you were to argue against it for whatever, probably citing financial concerns, I will tell you that at that point, the opportunity and the success rate in the recruiting battles will have, I think, received a death blow. You will have done irreparable damage that I do not believe you will overcome. At which point, it's a fait accompli. You are done. You are done. That's the real pressure here. When people hear me get into this, reminds me the year when we started 0-4 and salvaged something.
Yeah.
I can still remember having this thought that, well, the program's getting better. They still got a chance here. Let's see what happens here. But remember the talking points at that time, Tom, where I described Mike's situation as it doesn't matter if he's a good coach or a bad coach. His fate is sealed if they do not win this year. And it was about the recruiting. I call them a dead man walking.
Yes, often. Yes.
And it was true. I believed that then, and thankfully they won. And thus it did not happen. And I believe that now. Hopefully they win. Because if you do something short of 8-4, and you're walking around out of here 6-6 or 7-5, I think you're a dead man walking.
Well, from the recruiting perspective, you have to win in order to get people to stay interested. And then your NIL game has to take over. And I think it would have to account for, if you succeed, it's almost these things are tied together. If you succeed, then at least one of your coordinators is gone. I think that comes with the package of bringing these two dudes in to help you repair what's been broken. If you succeed at the level that people go, okay, I want to play football for Mike Norvell, I can see that 2-10 was just this wacky thing. Then your coordinators are definitely, at least one of them is going to go. Are you going to keep one of their lieutenants? Who are the best recruiters who would be remaining when those coordinators are gone? And what would your replacement plan be in order to retain the yeses that you get? Because I think if you have a successful season and you win 9 games, call it 9 regular season games, which means you're going to win one over somebody
of the
who's
big games,
significant.
Clemson, Florida, Alabama, or Miami.
Right. You're going to have a nice little run of momentum in the season. October into November, when kids realize, oh, this is real. And you're going to get some extra visits that you didn't see coming. You're going to get some yeses that you didn't predict that would be coming in July or August. You're going to get some good things happening. Okay. Well, as that coach, that one coordinator is on the precipice of getting poached somewhere else, do we have a retention plan? Because he might like to bring that kid that committed to his offense.
Well, that's the fear. You're right. Is that if one of the two coordinators leaves for another job, they're going to take the kids with them. Yeah.
It's a scenario that I want to play out, and I want to see how we handle that situation because it beats the alternative.
Yeah,
but that's one thing where you play out the game of chess, and that's why I don't know. There's a question from was it Hogwatcher? Yeah, Hogwatcher asked, honest question: could the next head coach come from the current staff?
So okay. You guys know, you've been listening to me. I'm really impressed with Tony White. Now, I say that with the caveat that obviously they got to produce this year. I mean, words are what they are, right? We need him to put together a much better defense than we've had on display recently. But again, I think he's impressive. I think his career path so far has been impressive. I think when you listen to him speak and talk about teaching, coaching, when he talks about psychology, all of it, I think he's really headed towards being a head coach sooner rather than later. The problem is if you were to say, let's just say you took the side of, I'd like Tony White to be our next head coach, or Gus for that matter. I don't want Gus to be our next head coach, but somebody might. And so if that were the case, let's say you're an advocate for one of those two guys. What scenario would that happen? How would that happen?
This is the other side to what I'm saying.
You can't create one because if they succeed, that means and the record's good. Well, you're not firing Mike,
right? Yeah.
And if they fail, well, then why do you want him to be the head coach? And you'd still have to fire Mike and pay him off.
Yeah.
And either way, you'd still have to fire Mike. So they're either all getting replaced or none, maybe, unless they leave to take a head coaching position elsewhere.
You would need a drastic set of circumstances that sees you lose 13-10 5 times if you want Tony to be the guy, or 16-10,
Right.
17-13.
How they lose would matter. How it looks will matter.
Or if you want Gus to be the guy, they just lose consistently 49-42 or 41-35, and that's what happens to lose 7 games. Like, that's the only scenario by which the next head coach would be on the roster, and it would need to happen repeatedly, to where by the time we're getting towards Halloween, we're all saying, well, if we could score or if we could get a damn stop, we might not be so bad.
Right.
That doesn't seem all that likely. It's the other side of the coin. It's if you succeed, one of these guys is going to get a job offer, and they're going to be right to take it, because flipping this thing from 2-10, the juice you're going to get from that, if you overhaul this, it'll never be better than in that moment after this season. It'll never be better.
Yeah, especially if your unit's the reason.
Yes, versus staying here for another season. Like, at that point.
But, I will say that there's one, if you want to be optimistic and hope that you keep Tony White around, let's assume that he does okay and does really well. Let's say he matches all of the things that I like about him so far, which is the off-the-field conversations have been fantastic, and he's insightful and interesting. And anyhow, so say that all happens, Tom. Well, let's say he gets an offer and it's just not one that he likes long term. He could stick around another year. He'd probably get a raise. And there you go. You know what I mean? Like,
you'd have to be super aggressive on the raise front in order to,
But if he turns this defense around in a hurry, and they're competent and explosive, and they create turnovers, and they're getting after the passer, and they're aggressive, and they get stops, you're like, man, I think I can go ahead and give him a little bump here. It's not the same as making the mistake as the staff raises across the board last time, in my opinion.
Yes, probably not. But in the moment, you would still be right to have that concern if you were a fan.
Sure.
Saying, one good year, huh? Well, let's see him bring in his own players.
Well, right. Yes. Yeah, I got it. The concern is recruiting, because if you don't believe you're going to be here long term, you're not going to recruit. And if you do believe you're going somewhere else, then you want to take those kids with you, even if you do recruit.
Which is
what Pruitt did.
Yeah, which is why this whole situation, you'd say the head coach is an underdog to come out of it, because there's so many partial defeats, in the long-term
There's a
success
lot
plan.
of them, buddy. There's a lot of them.
You can do it. It's not that you can't. But even a nice, good, successful by any measure season leaves you going, okay, but how about that 26 class? How do we close them? Like, there are still going to be mini fires that come from the major fire. He could do it, but it's going to be fascinating.
Therein lies the issue with a coach who puts himself in a position to have to fire his coordinators and bring new guys in. And it's fascinating, right? It's like, God, this is why you're up against it, man. You've put yourself in an untenable set of circumstances. 2 Live Hollywood. My boys, it's been quite a minute. It's been a minute. Jeff, here's to looking at you. I'm reading your mind. As the next head coach goes wrong on the roster and you know him, I'm thinking of his name. His name comes up a lot. Oh, yeah, 2 Live. I'm a Tony White guy. I'm a big Tony White guy. I'm impressed with him, and I like him. I feel, and thank you, by the way. It's good to hear from you again. I'm a big Tony White guy, but I'm the first to say, no matter how impressed I've been with Tony White in a personal conversation with him, the way he answers questions amongst the assembled press, his production, what he's done so far at the stops along the way. There's no perfect coordinator. Has he had bad days at the office? He has. But have you seen market improvement from the units that he coaches? You have. And does he have the right mentality? Does he have the right way of I think, relating to, connecting with, and teaching players? I believe so. But I just don't think it's going to end up being I don't think it's going to help us. I mean, it's going to help us this year maybe, and then I think he's gone.
But I would think if you are planning for success as an athletic department, you're the AD and you make this hire, there are certain hires that you would make where you say, well, this guy's not in danger of leaving me anytime soon because he's got to prove it for multiple seasons. And then you hire Tony White, and he was already interviewing for head coaching jobs at power institutions, and he was a finalist for a head coaching job of a power institution. So you got to know that there's a chance he walks after a year, but then also you have to, I would think, plan, just like the Battle's End did to make 2023 happen, retention's important. So I would think if this thing succeeded midway through the season and you realize, oh, we're the truth, this guy's the truth, that's when you already get into the ear of his agent and say, hey, hang on now.
Hey.
He's going to build something here. And he's going to be very rich while he does it, my man.
And there's a little head coach in waiting action over here, perhaps.
No, it's not.
No, it's just you and me talking, agent. It's just you and me talking.
That's not what
I'm saying. As soon as that number becomes palatable for the head guy, just you and me talking, and we can let him take it on down the road. Maybe it's your guy that is elevated.
Oh, that would be where I, Philip Seymour Hoffman, go, okay.
Kings are killed, Mr. Garrison.
Yeah, I don't want any part of this meeting.
I'm having that meeting. Whispers. It's a smoke-filled room. Cigar. Really good scotch. I think we all know why we won this year, guys. You know what I'm saying?
For the record, this whole scenario could be applied to the Gus bus as well. You know, this whole, hey, if you really succeed and you want to retain the guy, all of these talking points can be applied to the offensive side. If you want to have an old school guy running the program, and maybe some do.
Well, this is where me and the guys in the back room over the cigars are going to have an argument. The hell's wrong with you, Bob? Pay attention.
You're old as sin, Bob.
Bob, you're yammering about nothing. We're not hiring his old ass. Stop. Leave the room, Bob. We're done with this conversation. Me and the boys assembled for a very different kind of conversation. Yeah, no, that was. Let's just hope they succeed and it becomes an issue. We have to talk about the issue. Let's just hope they succeed and it becomes an issue.
Way better than the clean house scenario. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, man. Hogwatcher, I don't think that last thing you said is true, sir. Final hour, bonus hour is forthcoming. Stay with.
Your septic system, talking. Well, when it hits the fan, it's no fun at all. And if it comes up from the ground just bubbling out of your land, man, you can guarantee that definitely ain't Texas tea. At a time like this, there's only one call to make. Terry West Plumbing, your trusted septic and sewer experts. Installation or for when it's really hitting the fan. Contact Terry West Plumbing today. Get only the best with Terry West. Visit terrywestplumbing.com.
Like most of us, your home is your greatest investment. I mean, think about it. The financial benefits, the newfound freedoms of purchasing a home can contribute to your family's health and wealth and happiness. Real estate trends pointing to a favorable market for buying. This is the to be sure of what you're buying or selling. And then, exactly why Joel Hagen's built ACL, providing you thorough, nice, and efficient service with same-day, easy-to-read digital reports. They'll even go with you on a walkthrough inspection of the home you buy. Now, if you're planning to list your house before putting it up for sale, ACL will provide you a pre-listing inspection. Call today, 850 312-8919. 312-8919. Remember, before you buy or sell, call ACL.
Ain't nothing but a cheap baby. I am 99% sure that is not how it works. Oh, you can remix it, right? Well, this